Hey everybody, welcome back to another review, but this time in a little bit of a different setting because typically we would be reviewing newer content on the channel. Um, what you'll be noticing this month especially is that there is a greater emphasis on older films and classic type of films, and that is because I want to incorporate more of older films, and with that comes this new section of the channel called Film of the Week, which is where I pick a film and I just review it. Something older, something a little bit more well known, and give some of my first impressions on films that I perhaps have not seen before. And um, this one I especially haven't seen. But before we get down to that, I just want to also give awareness that in a week or two's time, I'm dedicating an entire week to classic films. Basically, if you guys have watched this channel for any extended period of time, um, I used to do this thing called What Have I Seen Lately, and that will be returning, but it's going to be done in a week-long content format. So, for anybody who's familiar with the channel, they will know what that section looks like when it appears in the next coming weeks. So, I just want to give awareness to that, and also just for this weekend, you'll be noticing 3 videos back to back, just because where I'm putting this video, there's other videos that were occupying certain days, so I just figured to put this one in front of 2 videos, so you'll probably see 3 videos pop up simultaneously. So just extra content for you guys this particular weekend. But to get down into the review, also I have my notes here, so excuse me if you see me glancing over here. But Little Miss Sunshine, which came out in 2006, directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Veras, who would go on to do Ruby Sparks with Paul Dano, which I've seen little bits of. It wasn't too bad. They'd also do Battle of the Sexes, which I've heard good things about. Written by Michael Arnott, who would go on to do Toy Story 3 as well as Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Interesting enough. Starring, of course, Steve Carell, Toni Collette, Paul Dano, Alan Arkin, Greg Kennard, which I didn't recognize throughout the entire film, but looked it up just now and realized that he actually starred in As Good as It Gets. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember him now. So, but it tells a story of a family as they try to get the youngest of their family, this little girl, to a child beauty pageant, and eventually it basically spawns into this road trip of sorts, and what you get from this is a film about a collection of personalities and ultimately how those personalities interact with one another, because each character is a different type. Like with Greg's character, he's kind of a narcissistic character where he doesn't want to be proven wrong. He doesn't want to feel, that he messed up. He always wants to feel like he's in the right. He wants to feel like that he's doing something just and is putting himself in the right direction, right place. But as the film goes on, he perhaps comes to the idea that maybe it's not all sunshine and rainbows, or perhaps maybe I'm not. Maybe I am wrong in some respects. Steve Carell is a suicidal type. He's very he's more of a realist, I would say. His persona wise. Toni Collette's, he's more of a dramatic type. Paul is the obvious emo type. Alan Arkin, I would say, is actually probably more of the cynic of the group. He doesn't really care too much about about boundaries and stuff like that. He just kind of just does what he wants. And then of course the young girl is the innocence. The one who doesn't know much of anything and is just just the youth of the group. But I think that what the film is more about deeply is a false sense of security. Because throughout the film, when you see these personalities clash, you see how each other's worlds are kind of shattered, and you see how they kind of come to realizing a lot about their own flaws and realizing their own, their own hypocrisies within their own philosophies. And I think that what you get is something very very charming and very fun, I must say. And it's anchored by really two things. Firstly, I think the performances are really, really great. I was really surprised by Steve Carell because I've seen him do dramatic work. Later in his career, he would do on more dramatic work in like The Big Short, which I thought he was very good in. Beautiful Boy, which I haven't seen, but I've heard he's actually good in. But I was very surprised to see him play this type of character. And I think that of the group, I think that he stood out to me the most because he's playing something completely against his type. Yet, in how he is delivering such performance, it matches. It oddly matches. It feels like no one else would really fit in that kind of role. And when saying that sort of thing, it just goes to credit how great the performance is. So I think everyone does really well. I really like the tone of the film as well. I love how, the aura of it. It's this, just this very accessible yet involving, type of ordeal. It's not something that feels contrived or just feels simplistic. Just simplistic and nothing more. It has depth to it, mainly coming from those performances, and really from the strengths of a very, very well crafted and very well detailed screenplay that gives that has the purpose of strengthening its characters and empowering them with more appealing and endearing characteristics and developments. They're not just being written just because, oh, we want to make things distinct, or oh, we want to do this or that. It's doing it for an emotional purpose, and thus you find yourself more involved with the characters and thus more involved with the story. It isn't without conveniences, though. I mean, with this kind of story, there are some conveniences that have to be taken place. And some of the overarching messages that the film speaks on, I feel like can be a bit hollow in some respects. The ideas of family, the ideas of bondage, this sort of simple ideas that you can get from the film, I feel like are kind of one-dimensional. But what other ideas it has on its mind, the ideas that are mostly given showcase throughout the film, this idea of false security, this idea of interactions within different personalities, within the context, of course, of a dysfunctional family group, I found it to be very appealing, and I found it to be anchored solely by the charm of its performances and from the strengths of its screenplay. It's a screenplay that really is the key to the film, because without that screenplay, it would be something of fair quality, but because of it existing, it rises above that, and you get something that is pretty solid, all things considered. So I don't think that it is as great as some people make it out to be. I'm just reading right now, apparently it got a lot of Oscar nominations, apparently won for Best Screenplay, which I can understand because it's a good screenplay. But like I said, I think that there are some conveniences that are taken that, I wish weren't there. It was expecting to me, but I wish that they didn't deliver on those kinds of regards. But because those performances, because of the aura that it possesses, because of that screenplay being present, I think that you find yourself in something very solid and much more meaningful than you'd expect. It's not just about family dynamics. It's a lot about their personalities and how those personalities interact, and ultimately what happens when you build a false sense of security and what you have to do to break that kind of idea. So I think that it has some very good ideas on its mind, and for the most part are executed in a manner that is engaging. So good work, but I'm not one of those that thinks that it's the masterpiece that it is. Or the kind of film that people make it out to be. But that's my thoughts on it. So you guys want to know your thoughts about Little Miss Sunshine, and let me know your thoughts, of course, of this new format that we're about to do for the channel, if you guys find it interesting or not. But let me know in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got another video tomorrow, so stick around for that. And another video probably after that, I think. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.